The winter air carried a strange stillness the morning everything. Changed for Lena, the city was waking up slowly, lights flickering behind frosted windows. But she felt like she was walking through a world frozen in time. Her coat was too thin for the cold, her gloves torn at the fingertips and the heavy backpack she carried cut into her shoulder like a reminder of everything she had been through. She moved quietly through the pristine glass doors of the city's biggest private bank, a place she never imagined she'd enter, a place where people like her were invisible. And as she stepped onto the glossy marble floor, nobody noticed her trembling hands or hollow eyes. They only noticed the billionaire standing at the counter, laughing loudly as though the world belonged to him when she whispered, almost breathless, that she just wanted to check her balance. He looked at her as if she were a joke, but the moment the screen turned, around the moment the numbers glowed brightly on the digital display, his laughter cracked and the entire bank fell silent. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected, strength inside ordinary people, please take a moment to comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Gentle Hearts. Your support helps these stories reach more people who need hope. Elena's story did not begin in warmth or comfort. She was born into a life where struggle had no beginning and no end, where meals were uncertain and dreams were luxuries she couldn't afford. Her mother worked in a laundry shop, taking extra shifts to raise her and her younger brother, while her father drifted in and out of their lives, like a storm that came without warning. Still, Elena carried something. Inside her, a quiet resilience, a belief that life might someday offer her a chance, even if she had no idea when or how it would come. When her mother passed away unexpectedly, Elena had been just 17, and the world seemed to collapse around her. She became the caretaker of her little brother Amir, sacrificing her own future so he could have one. She worked in diners, stitched clothes through the night, and cleaned homes where no one even looked her in the eye. As the years dragged on, the weight of poverty became heavier, but she never let it crush her spirit. Amir grew older, found a scholarship, and began studying engineering. She felt proud even if it meant she worked double shifts to pay for the things scholarships never covered. Life was hard, painfully hard, but she believed in him more than she believed in the sun. Rising each morning, she kept every receipt, saved every spare coin, and spent nothing unless it was essential. Her life became an endless routine of earning, sacrificing, and quietly breaking under the pressure that nobody else saw. Then came the night that changed everything. Walking home from a late shift, she discovered a man collapsed near the side of the road, his breath shallow, his face pale. Instinct led her to call for help, and she stayed with him through the long wait for the ambulance. Holding his hand, though she didn't know him, he recovered, and in the haze of his gratitude, he asked for her name, her story, her dreams. She didn't say much. She rarely did, but something about her sincerity stayed with him. What she didn't know then was that the man she had helped was one of the city's quietest philanthropists, someone who never disclosed his identity. He tried to thank her afterward, tried to offer her money for helping him, but she refused, telling him that kindness wasn't a transaction, and that she simply did what any human should do. 2 months later, he passed away unexpectedly, leaving behind no family and no heirs. In his will, he left instructions that a portion of his wealth should go to the young woman who sat beside me on the pavement and made me feel human again. The lawyer searched, traced the call she had made, and after weeks of attempting to find her, they finally did. Elena, unaware of any of this, was struggling to pay rent, selling her few belongings just to get through another month when she received the mysterious letter asking her to come to the bank. She assumed it was about overdue payments or a mistake. She expected nothing but bad news. That's why she arrived at the bank that morning with fear in her chest, her hands pulling her coat tight because she felt every pair of eyes on her. She waited quietly in line, staring at the man in the tailored suit ahead of her, a millionaire known for his loud voice, expensive watch, and reputation for mocking anything that didn't shine like him. He joked with the staff, flashed his perfect smile, and flaunted his balance on the screen, which he referred to as a number most people can't even imagine. Elena lowered her eyes. She had no desire to see numbers she couldn't imagine. She just wanted to make sure her account wasn't accidentally frozen or overdrafted. When her turn came, she stepped forward with humility, asking softly to check her balance. The millionaire heard her. He turned, smirked. and looked her over like she didn't belong in the same world as him. His laugh echoed through the hall when she repeated her request. He assumed she had nothing. He assumed she had come for pity. He assumed wrong. When the banker typed in her account number and the screen lit up, the banker's eyes widened. His expression trembled. The millionaire leaned in smugly until the number glowed in cold, startling clarity. It wasn't hundreds, it wasn't thousands, it wasn't even millions. It was a fortune so vast that even the millionaire stepped back in disbelief. The room froze. The man who had mocked her fell silent. Elena stared at the number, her breath caught in her throat. She didn't understand how it was possible. Her legs nearly gave out and her palms dampened with panic. She asked if there had been a mistake. The banker said the funds were legally hers, transferred from a man whose name she had forgotten, the man she had saved, the man whose heart had seen goodness in her when she expected nothing in return. The world suddenly felt too bright, too overwhelming. She walked out of the bank with trembling steps, tears streaking her face, not because she felt rich, but because she felt, for the first time, worthy of rest. For the first time in years, she wasn't drowning. She felt the sun hit her skin like a blessing, and the cold wind no longer cut through her because something inside her had changed. She spent the first weeks doing nothing extravagant. She paid old debts, she bought groceries without checking prices. She replaced her torn gloves and bought Amir a laptop for his studies. She invested, carefully refusing to let the money change who she was. Instead, she let it strengthen the parts of her that hardship had never quite managed to break slowly. She created a foundation in her mother's name, dedicated to helping people who survived through kindness, labor, and quiet resilience. She funded scholarships, paid off medical bills for strangers, and visited shelters where she once stood in line. She never announced her wealth. She never sought applause, but her presence began to ripple quietly through the community like sunlight creeping through cracks. The millionaire from the bank eventually crossed paths with her again. He approached her with a different expression, with humility, not arrogance. He said nothing about that day, but his changed demeanor was an apology in itself. Sometimes wealth reveals a person's character. Sometimes it transforms it. For him, seeing her balance hadn't shocked him as much as seeing her grace afterward. Years later, people would tell stories about a mysterious woman who changed lives quietly, who remembered the weight of every coin she ever saved, who carried compassion not like a burden but a gift. But for Elena, the real miracle was that a single moment of human kindness had found its way back to her like a long-delayed echo. She learned that good deeds do not vanish. They wait. They circle back, they return when least expected, when most needed. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the surprising beauty and kindness and humanity, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Gentle Hearts. Your engagement helps these stories reach more people who need hope in their darkest days. And before this story ends, please comment what kindness taught me is.